If everyone is having the same experience, that's not lifestyle. It feels prototyped and not customized. Lifestyle, from a guest perspective, comes from exclusivity and moments that feel uniquely tailored. On to our next segment is a fireside chat about defining lifestyle hospitality. On that note, I'd like to invite the Group CEO of Ennismore, a global lifestyle hospitality company, and CEO, Lifestyle and Leisure Brands Accor, Chairman of Accor-Interglobe India Hospitality Venture, Mr. Gaurav Bhushan. After doubling its network in just 4 years, Mr. Bhushan became Group CEO of Ennismore in 2026. Today, Ennismore has over 200 hotels across 40 plus countries with a further 145 plus in the pipeline and over 500 restaurants and bars. He's a board member of Ennismore and Banyan Tree and Accor's Luxury and Lifestyle Executive Committee and Dubai International Chamber. An alumnus of Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology and Securities Institute of Australia. Mr. Bhushan will be in conversation with Mr. Ajay Bakaya, the founder chair of GHC, chairman Sarovar Hotels and director Louvre Hotels, India. Apart from being a successful hotelier, he is a tenacious and highly disciplined fitness enthusiast. So over to you, Mr. Bakaya.
Thank you. Is the audio good? Can you hear us in the back? Louder? Better? Super. Gaurav, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, and I've realized increasingly I'm in a very blue-blooded, exclusive group of hospitality professionals. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you and a warm welcome. And it's up to us two Aussies to keep all these guys awake for the next hour. So 10 years ago, Mr. Madok and I sat across the table from you and Mike Leisenberg
Yeah.
in the Park Plaza in Gurgaon, and we discussed some numbers, very sort of casual scenario of what would Sarovar be worth. And you came out with the particular numbers. You know, you can expand as much as you want to, the margins are limited. And we said, thank you very much. We broke off, and Mr. Madok and I said, these guys don't know what they're talking about. We should be worth a whole lot more. A couple of years later, we sold majority in Sarovar, and the enterprise value was pretty much the same as what you talked about. Now, do you have this magic computer in your mind when you're looking at acquisitions? How do you come up with these numbers?
We love the conversation. That's how we met, Ajay. Pity we couldn't do anything at that point in time, but you never know. It's a long, windy road. Listen, I mean, what we do, as we all know, is more an art than a science. There are a few numbers around it, but at the end of the day, it is a calculated assessment of the qualitative and the quantitative, then you try and make the best assessment you can. And when we value businesses, it's all about the growth potential and how we can scale a brand either in a particular market like India or globally. So our entire valuation is forward-looking, and that's how we look at life. What you do today is less relevant. What you could do in 2, 3, 5 years' time, that's the defining decision.
Interesting. A lot of my stories now begin with once upon a time. Once upon a time, as an MBA student in Sergi Pontoise in France, I worked as an extra at the Novotel. Those were the terms then. Extras were the equivalent of the casuals here. When I was studying in college, and you were doing as a single person, a 200-room hotel, in-room dining, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning. So you kind of knocked on the door, didn't wait for the person to respond, walked in, put the tray down, wished the person in a state of dress or undressed, didn't really matter. If you're really polite and you had time, you offered to open the curtains. And a couple of years later, I worked at the Gleneagles up in Auchterarder in Scotland as a management intern, and it was a different world altogether. You kind of looked yourself up and down in the mirror a few times before you walked into a public space. It was very shishi, very expensive. As an intern, when you landed there, by the way, Gleneagles is 1,000 acres of land. It's 4 18-hole golf courses that golfers would give their life for to play on. It's got its own railway station. So you got off a British rail train, and this fancy Rolls came to pick you up, chauffeur-driven, as a management intern. Now, two such diverse worlds, you're straddling both right now. How does it come together? How does it possibly come together?
I mean, in the end, the common factor is you're trying to create experience with a certain brand. And if you can be true to that experience, whether it's an Ibis or you're curating this luxury experience in Gleneagles, if you can deliver both and meet the customer's expectations and exceed them, you can straddle both worlds. Now, it's not common, and the way we run our business is very much brand-centric. And that's how we try and stay ahead of the curve. We haven't, for the Ennismore business, we have never focused on scaling and kind of doing what typically large global hotel companies do, which is put all the brands under one single leadership. We create synergies on the ground, but everything that the customer touches, feels, and is curated is brand-led. And that's not an easy business model. It's a more expensive business model. But in the longer term, if you really want to stay, particularly in the luxury business, and you're charging someone $1,000 or $2,000 a night for a hotel room, you better live up to that experience. And that doesn't come when you try and club multiple experiences together, because in my view, it's hard for someone to deliver the same experience, the same person. At a group level, you need a global view, but when it comes to the execution on the ground, it needs to be brand-led.
What did you challenge when you started off on the DNA angle in terms of Ibis, Mercure, Novotel group? Very very structured, very very cookie cutter, into something that is dramatically different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a huge learning curve. When we put Ennismore together in the peak of COVID, we kind of put 6 smaller lifestyle hospitality businesses together on Zoom. I didn't meet my leadership team for almost a year. It was an idea that we were curating before COVID, and we took the opportunity over COVID to create the Ennismore platform. But I had the privilege, and I still do, of working with all our brand founders. Because part of the whole ethos and the foundation of Ennismore was, how do you genuinely create an experience, a lifestyle experience? And we decided that we didn't want to do what a lot of large global hotel companies had done, and work with founders who had built brands with a heart and a soul, with real content, with a real mission, a real purpose. So it was working with those founders until today. Pretty much we have 14 brands. Almost all the brand founders are still with us. And we work with them every day. Although we own the economics of the business, those brand founders drive the creative, drive the content. They have a veto on any new property. Whether it's a legal decision or not is a separate issue, but I will never do a new hotel without the blessings of a founder, whatever my view might be. And if you focus on making sure that those brands retain their purpose and their DNA, which to a large extent comes from the founders, you'll create a pretty different experience. Because then they focus on curating every square meter of an asset, the hardware and the software. And it makes a big difference. And that's been my biggest learning. We pay as much focus to programming, content creation, as we do to the brand. And as a brand owner, I shouldn't be saying this, but in my view, the biggest learning we've had is programming and content curation is as, if not more important than the brand. Because if you don't have that in a lifestyle environment, you've got nothing. I mean, in the end, what is a lifestyle hotel? It's just an elevated experience.
Gaurav, there's so much talk now on experiential hotels and stuff like that. I think the real experiences were always there years and years ago. Something like the Glen Eagle, something like the Oberoi's, the guest arrival experience, and every little small detail from the in-room dining to the restaurant, etc., etc. Then came a time when he said, you know what, payroll costs are going from 12 to 14%. We can't afford it anymore. Knock off a few people. Yeah. Knock off some more. EBITDA margins, GOPs, etc., etc., etc. So what is so new about experiential? What's coming back online? Are we hiring more people again, or are we doing it differently?
It's a great question, and I think what we've tried to do, I can speak about our experience, because lifestyle is the most abused term in the hospitality business today. And with all due respect, I think by hiring a cool designer, you don't create a lifestyle hotel. It's got to all come together, but it's got to be the right design, the right programming, and then the right execution, the right service, the right experience that fits the experience from end to end. Unless you can and design is a huge piece of the puzzle. I mean, in the end, the spaces you create are supposed to make people feel a certain way. If you can't make people feel a certain way, you've lost half the battle. So getting the design right, getting the programming right, and then delivering that is a big difference. So F&B is a huge piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
I mean, so we're not
profitable.
And profitable. If you do it right, it's very profitable. So 60+% of our revenue is non-rooms, and we don't do banquets. Our hotels are not designed to do big banquet, big wedding events. So we create that revenue out of non-rooms business only because we focus on programming and experience. And that drives, in the end, as I said, what is it about? It's an elevated experience, but that elevated experience has to transfer and translate into an elevated performance. Otherwise, what's the point? In the end, we're not doing this for fun only. We have a lot of fun doing it. But in the end, it's got to make sense from a return on investment perspective. So we focus a lot on F&B. Apart from the hotel business that we have built probably the largest independent F&B business globally, with plus 100 venues operating in 40 countries. So the whole F&B element, the F&B, the entertainment, is a huge piece of the puzzle. And we've then added on to that hotel component with branded workspaces, members clubs, restaurants, nightclubs, beach clubs. So you're creating a branded residential. So for us, it's not just about creating a hotel, it's creating a destination and a whole ecosystem around it. And then you start to become a lifestyle destination. By just doing a cool design in a hotel, in my view, doesn't make you a lifestyle destination.
So tell us a little bit more about Ennismore, the various brands, the geographies that you're positive and optimistic about.
Sure.
Your favorite hotel brand and your favorite restaurant brand and all this 300, 400, whatever.
Sure. So we are about 215 operating hotels. We've had pretty good growth. We started with just over 50 hotels 4 years ago. So we've had great growth, over 50,000 keys. But that's happened because we're pretty global, 40 countries. About half our business is Europe and America, and the other half is Middle East, Asia Pacific. So we're pretty equally balanced, and this notion that lifestyle hotels work only in the West is a complete misnomer. Our biggest growth is coming from the Middle East and Asia Pacific, because at the end of the day, everything is digital, everything is online. People see what we do in Saint-Tropez or in Miami, and they want it in Delhi, they want it in Jakarta, and they want it in Singapore. So we try to build global experiences, try and stay true to our brands. But today we are a a fairly comprehensive ecosystem of hotels. Resorts is a huge piece of the puzzle. Most of what we do is leisure. We don't do kind of standard business hotels.
Okay.
That's not our game. Anything which we operate a lot in city centers, but the bulk of what we do is leisure. Because with the right experience, leisure obviously commands a much higher premium on pricing. And our brands are suited well for the leisure market in particular. So it's hotels, it's members clubs, it's restaurants, bars, entertainment parks, and it's wellness, it's residential. So, like I said, only about 40% of our revenue comes from purely doing hotels.
Your favorite brands?
Favorite brand? I mean, there's brands that make a lot of money and there's brands that I love. They're two different things. So I love both, by the way. In the end, it's a business.
Favorite's always a combination there, isn't it?
So we have a brand called Habitus, which is a very boutique luxury brand, and we call it luxury for the soul. It's barefoot luxury. We have a 20-room hotel in the Namibian desert, which is absolutely extraordinary. So I love that. I really do, because it's such a different experience. And it is so far removed from your daily life that it is a very different experience. But then we also do the Delano in Miami, which is about to open in South Beach, which is a beautiful lifestyle, luxury leisure hotel. It's $150, $200 million top line, makes a lot of money. It's what we do at the other end of the spectrum. So I love both. But if you ask me where I wanted to really be, it would be in the 20-room hotel.
Okay. And on the restaurant front, you do standalone restaurants and bars?
We do standalone restaurants all over. We have over 40 brands of restaurants and entertainment concepts. We have a couple of standalone venues, particularly in Paris. We have a restaurant called Giraffe. I don't know if you guys go to Paris, but if you go to Paris and if you go to the top 20 restaurants, I'd like to think at least 15 of those will be ours. So we do this standalone restaurant, which has on the Chocadero, which has an amazing view of the Eiffel Tower. I think it's one of the most iconic venues that we have. But then we have, brands like Gigi, which is an Italian concept, which we've grown all over the world. And some of these restaurants make a lot more money than a hotel. They're really big businesses.
I think the toughest business is standalone restaurants, to my mind.
It's a super tough business.
You don't have your executive housekeeper, you don't have a chief engineer, you don't have a financial controller, there's no Mr. Jain to back up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have a huge management team, you have no sales and marketing. How do you keep track in terms of pure and simple financial control of standalone restaurants with those sorts of volumes?
Huge learning curve. Huge learning curve, Ajay. It's a great question. And we faltered when we had this vision, and the translation between vision and reality was a rude shock. So we messed things up in the first 12, 15 months, but we kind of learned from it, built up, and we focused, because we bought a couple of businesses and merged them, and then decided that the business we wanted to be in was luxury dining. Because we had nightclubs and a few other things, and we decided we couldn't scale that. We didn't want to be in that. We wanted to be focused on what we are good at, what we wanted to be good at, and that was luxury restaurants. And we've kind of consolidated and put all our energies behind that. An extension of that is we're now building what I hope will be the leading collection of members clubs all over the world. We opened our first two in Miami now. In fact, they're opening as we speak. We've got another 10 in the pipeline. But what we were trying to do was create communities in what we do. And the best way to create a community and be a local hub is be the best dining venue. That's what we found. How do you bring people travel once a year, twice a year, maybe 3 times a year to your hotels, but they will come and eat with you and drink with you once a week if you're good at what you do. So how do you create a touch point? How do you maximize your touch points with your customer and create a lifestyle business is being the best you can at F&B. That's why we honed in there. and it's about following the customer. And that we went into F&B because it's the shittiest job and no one wants to do it. And we went, let's go here, because if you can get this right, you're going to create a unique ecosystem that no one else can replicate.
We've seen in our hotels a lot of challenges in terms of more and more people being ahead of the tech stack and being really smart and playing the fiddle. We didn't see a lot of that some years ago, but now it's very common. And you're always looking at ways and means of figuring out your tech to make sure you're one step ahead, or at least at the same level. Any such challenges that you faced, and how does one go about handling those?
Yeah, I mean, we look at tech, if I understood your question, I mean, it's an enabler. We are...
People cheating you.
Absolutely. No, for us, in the end, we're actually going more and more analog as it comes to customer experience, because we find that is what resonates in an increasingly digital space. We will use tech as an enabler to make businesses more efficient, to get to know our customers better, and we're investing heavily in that, don't get me wrong. But in the end, it's about experience, and we're in the business of experience. And so using that as an enabler and not become your business is super important. We're still in the hospitality business. We're not in the tech business. We will never be in the tech business. So you've got to be clear on what business you're in. And as pretty much most of what we do is in the luxury space. And there, being analog and being more and more curated is serving us extremely well. So we've gone to the other end of the spectrum there. And even in our designs, we're simplifying the tech as we go higher up the food chain, because people don't want to complicate their lives at every touch point, particularly when they're in a hotel.
Yep.
You don't want to, you know the tech is there, but you don't want it to become an impediment. And that's key. So driving that balance is super important. We are doing a lot of work in that space. It was interesting. We were in a roundtable in Paris on an AI conference, and Sam Altman was kind of doing a roundtable, and there was a whole bunch of people sitting around, and he was basically telling people from different industries, we're going to come and destroy you. This was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then one person got up and said, what do you think about the hospitality business? So he stopped. 30 seconds, he didn't say anything, and he said, you know what? You're one of the lucky guys. Because I don't think we'll ever replicate what you guys do. We're going to try, but I don't think we'll make it. But you're one of the lucky guys who will actually flourish with what's going on in the tech space. And I think you're spot on. I think if you know how to leverage technology to your advantage, but you don't let it take over your business, you'll be in a good place.
Well, I look at you as a founder, even though you're part of the bigger Accor macro system. Founders have a very different view on business. My father didn't sit down with spreadsheets when he started off his career. There was a dream. There was a dream to be the best in the world. Steve Jobs didn't think of all the billions that came along with Apple to simplify lives. Elon Musk today wants to put somebody on Mars, doing things in between. So there is a different passion that drives founders. All founders, or largely most founders, are entrepreneurs. All entrepreneurs are not founders. What's your philosophy as an entrepreneur? What comes from here?
It has to come from here, and you have to have the ability to take risks. And I think the reason we have been able to have some level of success in the last 4 or 5 years is because we have been genuinely bold. And I have to thank Sebastian Bazin, who's my chairman, to kind of just say, I'll deal with all the politics, just go out there and build the best business you can. Otherwise, we won't, being part of a bigger ecosystem, it's impossible. The layers of bureaucracy you have in a large company, the decision-making, jealousy, politics, it can kill a business. And we were trying to build a culture and a business that was a startup. and with a startup mentality, a big startup, but nonetheless a startup where you are hungry, you're ready to take risks, but you're true to your purpose. And the purpose was to create a different experience. And if you don't let your people take risks, you'll never succeed. If people think they've got to get permission every time they've got to do something in the hotel, so a lot of our programming, a lot of our content creation comes from people that are on the ground, in the hotels, in the restaurants. We let them at it from a content creation. More than half our team globally is only focused on programming, digital, content creation. We don't do a lot of traditional sales and marketing. Everything we do is either on property or digitally driven on social media. So you've got to be really good at that. Otherwise, you can't compete with the big global guys. So the ability to be creative and take risks is at the heart of everything we do. And if you, as an entrepreneur, although being part of a larger group, if you don't build that culture to get your people to say, go up there, do your best. If you screw up, don't worry, I've got your back. If you can do that, you've got a business.
They say about the key to being a successful founder is that you're ready to take risks and take decisions based on 30% data. You're not spending all your life on analyzing stuff. Gaurav, 150 hotels operating, 130 in the pipeline, 80% geared towards luxury, 20% now, or close to 20% of Accor's EBITDA. What's the future? When are you going to overtake the rest of it?
I mean, honestly, we are focused on building what I truly believe is a different style of business. And it's not a hotel business. So we are, in that sense, pretty different from the rest of Accor. We've been fortunate, but what we have been is financially disciplined. I never wanted to be one of those guys who had a vision and a huge top line without translating that into real cash flow, either for our owners or for ourselves. So financial discipline with fast growth has been our mantra, and we've done a reasonable job of it. The growth is explosive, I have to say, and it's fast and it's explosive because we try and focus on the customer and where the customer is going. So Ennismore, we started thinking about Ennismore before COVID, and COVID just accelerated it, and the world changed fundamentally. The customer changed fundamentally. There is no question that over the last 5 years, the unmistakable trend that we see is people are paying more for experiences than goods. And that is unmistakable and factual in every part of the world. Whether you're in India or in America or in Europe, people are paying more and more and more for experiences. And if you look at the share prices of LVMH and Kering and some of the other guys, you can see it. They're not down 30% for a reason. And that experiential business has been growing for us between 10 to 20% mechanically year on year, in some cases, same store. So there's been tremendous growth. And as long as you can create and program and innovate, the customer will continue to pay more and more and more. So our properties in Europe, for example, which is a market growing at between 0.5 and 2%, we've had double-digit growth for 4 years in a row.
Congratulations, fantastic.
And it's not because all we're doing is we have pretty much the same boxes as most people, their hotels, their restaurants, but it's all about the programming. It's about the F&B. And I think the business we're just getting warmed up. We have massive growth potential, but our success will be defined by whether we can stay true to what we do, which is innovate on the ground and deliver that experience. The day we lose sight of that and over corporatize, that's the beginning of the end. And that's the challenge. How do you scale that to a point where you kill the very thing that you are trying to build. So I don't have an answer today. We try our best to make sure we don't overdo that element. We get the synergies we need as any business does, but you continue to give that experience. So we will never be as big as one of the big hospitality majors, a Hilton or a Marriott or an Accor. That's not our game. But I think we can build
stay more niche, more
tremendous value by being focused at what we do.
Technology platform. I imagine over the last 40 years, Accor would have spent billions on developing tech. Are you using a lot of that? Are you benefiting from that? Is there anything in common?
We're using some of it, not all of it, because we've built, our customer is a bit different. And we have a customer that goes to our hotels, eats in our restaurants, is a member of our clubs, is buying our branded real estate, is using our workspaces. So our customer is straddling a very different ecosystem than a customer that is only going from hotel to hotel. So we use the Accor platform completely. We're part of the Accor ecosystem, loyalty. We use the OLTA platform, the global reservation business. But everything that we drive directly, which is a big chunk of our business, we manage it. So our brand websites, our digital ecosystem, our social media, we do, our loyalty is based on subscription. People pay to be part of that. It's not a free program. We don't do that. Accor's got a great program. So everything we do, because our customer is a bit different and is looking, a lot of our customers just don't come to hotels because they're looking for points. They are looking for an experience, and you've got to curate and attract that customer differently.
Gaurav, chairman of Accor India, let's change gears a little bit. What's the Accor India story for the next few years? Things that Ranju knows, and maybe some things that
maybe I'll ask Ranju to come up here and talk about it. Because firstly, I have to say, we have, that's how I've begun to understand how esteemed this OCLD club is, because we found Ranju. We have the pleasure of having Ranju as our CEO. She does an absolutely brilliant job.
Yes.
I think the Accor India story, I had the pleasure of kind of starting up the Accor business a couple of decades ago in India. I went off to do many other things over the course of my career. And I got re-engaged back less than a year ago because I'm so excited about what is happening in India today, what is happening in our market, and the potential that we have to build an incredible business. And I think we have Accor has an incredible portfolio of brands, possibly unrivaled in my view. But those brands don't mean much until you have the right team to execute that growth and that experience. And now, the first thing we had to do is find that leader. And now we have that leader, Ranju. She's built a formidable team in the last 6 months. She's kind of gone reboot and gone with an incredible leadership, some of which are here. Amitabh is also a great part of our leadership team. So I think with the combination of the brands that Accor has, and we've gone in with the Accor partnership in India with Interglobe. We have an incredible partnership with Interglobe, with Rahul Bhatia, 20 years and counting and getting stronger. So we've kind of gone all in, put all our assets, brands together in a single vehicle with Ranju is leading, together with a formidable partnership with Indigo, which I think will create an incredible loyalty platform between the Accor All and Indigo customers. So when you put where we are heading with our loyalty platform, the brands, and the quality of the leadership team, I think we have a pretty bright future ahead of us.
This is third, fourth, or fifth time lucky for Accor, isn't it? The Interglobe Association?
I think it was the third attempt and hopefully the final one. Yeah. No, but the relationship with Interglobe has been extraordinary. And, we have now 70 plus operating hotels, another 40, 50 in the pipeline. but I'm very confident we'll do a few hundred hotels in the coming years. But it's not just about building volume of hotels. I think the vision for us doing hotels and a lot of the stuff that Ennismore is doing outside of the traditional hotel business, putting that in together with the platform we have and creating a fairly unique ecosystem of hospitality is what is, for me, the most interesting part. And that's why I'm super happy to be part of the journey together with Ranju, because I think we're building a fairly unique platform.
A lot of Indians heading universities across the world, Europe, US, Indians heading Silicon Valley projects in a big way. Indians heading businesses for Marriott. When are we going to break this French jinx and when are we going to have Gaurav Bhushan heading Accor?
I'm very happy doing what I'm doing.
Sahi jawab, as they say.
No, I'm having the best time of my life. Building Ennismore into what I hope will be a very interesting global business, and trying to support Ranju and what she's doing in India is a handful at the moment.
You know, there's a lot of the big race for acquisition going on in India, or growth. There's growth on the ground, and then there's growth that's spurred by boards which want you to sign more and open more. So whether it's Marriott with their acquisitions, or whether it's Puneet and Taj going from here to here and growing more. Small fee. But so what are Accor's plans? What's on the plate? What's on your mind?
Listen, Accor's never been shy of M&A. And in my past life, when I was the global chief investment officer for the group, I did a big chunk of M&A for Accor. So we understand that space well, but every company goes through life cycles. And I think we took Accor from 12 to over 40 brands over a space of 5 to 7 years. And at some point in time, you have to actually focus on consolidating what you invest in. So just acquiring brands for the sake of acquiring brands doesn't make any sense. And I think Accor's got lots of brands, more than enough brands, a comprehensive portfolio. And if you tag on what Ennismore brings to Accor's brand or portfolios, you have a pretty comprehensive ecosystem if you want to be in the lifestyle and luxury and the hospitality space. So I think there's no need to do M&A. We'll always look at opportunities as they come. And we're financially disciplined. So, people see we can both value businesses very differently. Mm-hmm. Depends on what your needs are versus mine, right? And that's the beauty of being in this business. And I think we have a huge platform to grow our brands organically. If the right M&A opportunity came, we would do it. But we're not out there looking because there's no need.
40 brands, isn't that a little too much for anyone?
Perhaps, but you don't grow every brand everywhere. You pick the brands you think are right for the market, and you grow it there. But there's never too many brands, because in the end, what is a brand? It's an experience. If you are in the business of curating experiences and you can drive a premium doing that over the guy next door, then the brand's worth it. If the brand's not driving you premium, then don't do it. So I don't subscribe to this kind of too many brands or too less brands. It is what is the experience you're trying to create, and do you have a repertoire of brands that can complement each other in curating those experiences?
Super. Folks, we got about 7 odd minutes, and I'm sure there's lots of questions in the audience. Shyam? Questions? Dilip, let's get you a mic. Dilip, get a mic, please. They can't hear you in the back.
You just made a comment, Gaurav, about all your brands don't fit the same market. So in India, 2 of your brands, if I could think of Pullman, Sofitel maybe, forever you had one hotel, never grown it. So that would suggest that those brands aren't right for the Indian market, or why haven't they grown?
No, I think it was our shortcoming in not growing those brands properly. In fact, today, both those brands have a very good pipeline in the country, multiple hotels. We have a second Pullman already operating in Chennai and a big pipeline to follow. The same for Sofitel. I think that is where the execution matters. You can have a great brand. We opened the first Sofitel in BKC, did really well. But the follow-up on that, the execution of the team to develop that brand with the focus didn't exist, candidly. So that's why I come back to what I said. You can have the best brands, but if you don't have the right team on the ground to build on that, it doesn't matter. And there's a lot of global brands, and we can all name a few, particularly in the luxury space, that have had incredible success globally, but haven't really found their rhythm in India only because they didn't have the right leadership team.
More questions, folks? Ranju, any questions? It's a great platform. Please grab a mic. Thank you.
Mr. Bhushan, I see a lot of focus on diversity at the helm of India's Ranju, and then I see a hotel in Mumbai with also leadership diversity. May I just understand what is the ethos behind that?
It's a good question, and Ranju and I were just talking about it at lunch. We have built, and maybe it's driven a bit, at least by my personal experience, we've built a business with brands coming out of every part of the world, and that created opportunities to deal with some of the best talent in the world coming from all over the world, and totally unbiased towards gender. It is absolutely fundamental that you choose the best person for the job. And I live and die by that. So for me, it is not even a question whether you should base your decision on that. And I can tell you, I've had some very difficult discussions with some of our owners in the Middle East on that topic, who have a very fixated view on that. Very difficult discussion. So for me, it is, at least half my global leadership team in Ennismore is women, because they're the right people for the job and they deliver the goods. So it shouldn't even be a discussion, in my view. The fact that we had that discussion means that we have a bias. So we found the best leader for the job, and that's what you do.
Great choice. Thank you, sir.
Gentleman in the back.
Thank you. So I see a generation of senior citizens coming up which wants to live with dignity and does not want to be dependent on their kids. So what are your thoughts on senior living? Do you think we could see hotels and hospitality businesses dedicated to senior citizens?
Have you been talking to Ragini recently? We were literally just having that conversation. I think there is a huge opportunity there. And I think it's already happening overseas, that hospitality companies are seriously looking at this space. We're not there yet, not because we don't want to, but in the end, you have finite resources to focus on what you can. But do I think we could be in this space? Absolutely. Because what is clear for me is that people want service and a hospitality element in pretty much everything they do these days. And so our move into branded workspaces is an extension of that. People want hospitality and a hospitality experience in their workspace, and the US is the biggest market for that, particularly in the tech and finance industries. So do I think we as a company can expand our brands into senior living, supported senior living, with a very strong hospitality component and make sure that people live well right up until the end? Absolutely. I don't think we want to be in the medical side of that, but that's a different business and we don't have that expertise. But can we give people a good experience? We do a huge business in residential. So we know how to curate residences and extending that to senior living in the residential space is very possible. Not for today. We have enough on our plate, but I think there's no reason why we couldn't go there.
So my question is about what Mr. Bakaya brought up was technology and how technology is being used in the hospitality industry. So post-COVID, there's been a lot of issues with labor, all over the world. I live in the United States, and I've consulted across many hotel chains over there and mostly F&B, and I've seen that the biggest challenge is labor.
Absolutely.
And that I've seen here in India as well, in other countries too. So what do you think, how can technology help with that? Maybe AI or something that can be brought into the F&B ecosystem, let's say, and make service better for the guests, make recognition better for our guests, since we're talking luxury and lifestyle. So these kind of things are important. But since there's labor shortage, those things take a backseat. And I've seen that happening across many, many luxury brands.
It's a great question. Maybe you're not going to like my answer, but I think tech can help you. I think I'll tell you what we're doing. We're using it to understand our customer better. But I don't believe you will use tech to improve the experience. The experience has to be human. Hence my comment about you have to live in an analog world in what we do, using tech to support you. If you're trying to make your experience more efficient, then it's not necessarily an experience. People come to us, and it depends on what business you're in. If I'm scaling thousands of hotels a year, I would use tech quite differently. And so Accor is doing that very effectively. If you ask me in my business, I'm not in that business. I'm not in the business of industrializing hotels. So I'm going to use tech to understand my customer, but I'm going to stay as far away from tech as I can to make the experience as analog as possible, because that's why the customer is coming to me. Otherwise, they would have gone to someone else. So it depends on the business you're in. Everyone uses tech. Everyone is using tech. It depends on what you want to use it for. So as I said, when Ajay asked me the question, we're using tech enormously to make our business processes more efficient, to understand our customers better, but we are not, and we won't use tech to curate the experience. That moment of truth with your customer, with your guest, has to be as human as possible. Otherwise, you're going to lose that connection. You're going to lose that relationship.
By the way, we're using robots to serve cappuccinos and welcome drinks in Lusaka, Zambia. We're using a robo to serve a-la-minute breakfast orders in Chennai. And at the moment, it's more Instagrammable than anything else. It's just a great feature. It's entertainment. But who knows what the future holds. I think we're running out of time. Ms. Tyagi, got it. Here's Vivek. Gaurav, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhushan and Mr. Bakaya, for that captivating conversation. I think there's a lot of heart, soul, business mindedness, that's gone behind bringing out the brand that it is. And I think I'd like to quote McKinsey and Skift report that the evolving role of experiences in travel indicate 52% of Gen Zers splurge on experiences. compared with only 29% of baby boomers. So truly, Ennismore is hitting the sentiment of making it different and curated and more experiential. Thank you so much.